So we're live. Thank you, Gareth. That was a bit of a surprise. I like countdowns. Don't know about you, but I'm old-fashioned. What can I say? So we're here. It's Trash Talk again. It's that time of the week where we're going to be doing our wonderful esports phone in, where you get to basically ring in with your opinions, get it off your chest, and I act as kind of a shrink, come counsellor, where we, cathartically work through all the horror and nightmarish scenarios that are out there in esports together, and we arrive at some sort of resolution, which usually involves me drinking and swearing. But before we get into that, I'm going to take a bit of a departure from the show. I actually want to talk about something very serious for a moment, and I know I've never really done that before, and I'm usually not the kind of guy who does that. I usually stay well away from it. But someone was brought to my attention this week, and I think maybe it's the right thing to do. So I'm just going to jump in and talk about it. So basically, for those that follow Counter Strike, you may have heard about a player called Ilya Haksibash Medvedev. He's just a regular guy. He's not a professional player by any stretch of the imagination. He's reasonably well known and liked in the Russian competitive scene. He was involved in a very nasty car accident, and basically, the upshot of this is he's had to have both his legs amputated. As far as I'm aware, he's in intensive care. He's been put into a coma, and he doesn't even know that he's had his legs amputated yet. Now, obviously there's going to be a lot of rehabilitation involved. Obviously this is like a horrible thing that happened to a young person. It's something I can identify with. My uncle, this happened to him in the prime of his life after a motorbike accident. So I've seen what it can do to people's esteem and just the general problems of getting around as a result of it. And the road to rehabilitation is a very long and arduous process. And one of his friends, a guy called Alexander Lemeshev, known as just LK in the Russian scene, has been spreading this around. And what I've been really fucking disappointed about, and I mean heartfelt disappointed, is the reaction from the Counter Strike community towards this. And this is the reason why people don't see us as a community, because Red Eye, he raised the standard and said, wouldn't it be nice if we could get some of this money that's been pumped into the game recently to go towards helping him out? Wouldn't it be nice if we could get some donations? He mentioned it on Reddit. He got downvoted into oblivion. And I'm not quite sure why. And the general consensus seems to be, well, don't tell people whether they should donate or not. Don't fucking tell us what to do. And I find this astounding, because when I wrote an article about the Root Gaming House saying, it's wrong of them to beg for money for something that should be a business model, people turned around and told me it's our money, we'll spend it on what we like. We're a community that pays for teams to go and compete at LAN when they beg for it. We're a community that'll give money to female gamers who get more than enough sponsorship, for the vague promise of some boobs and maybe a fucking calendar or something. I'm aghast that people would even try and downvote this, and it really speaks ill. Now, look, I'm not saying you have to donate. I'm not saying you have to support this guy, but what I do know is that if that happened to you, and the one thing you really enjoyed doing, the one thing you'd spent a lot of time doing, was being involved in the gaming community, like, maybe you're not going to expect anything back from that, but wouldn't it just be fucking nice? Like, I mean, to use such a glib and trite word, but wouldn't it just be like a good thing to do for another human being? Like, and I can't believe there's people out there that would say that this is bullshit, and that, to try and be Mr. fucking Andy alternative, fuck that guy. I can't believe there's people out there that would legitimately do that. So if that makes me hideously unpopular and an asshole, whatever. But I'm gonna pitch in. I'm drafting a letter to Valve. Maybe we can make something happen. All I know is that it would be nice for this guy to fucking get a fucking head start on the road to rehabilitation, and we're in a position to do something about that. Now, I know this speech probably isn't going to reach a lot of people. If it does, and it's touched you or it's changed your mind, You know what to do. There's a link. I'll put it in the chat. I'm sure the producers already brought it up as we discussed before the show, and just a couple of dollars, like pounds, whatever. Just even a fucking email just wishing him well. Like he's going to be in a hospital bed for a large part of time. I think it would be nice for him to know that people gave a shit. So just, for once, could we just be the community that other gaming communities are, like, StarCraft and League of Legends. They regularly ban Dota. They regularly bandit together to help one of the fraternity when they fall on hard times. We don't do that in Counter-Strike, and this is an opportunity for us to maybe show that we're better than that. We're the equal of these other gaming communities. So anyway, I'm wishing him all the best. I hope he gets to see this show. And it's a heavy way to start trash talk, but it needed to be said. On another note, to move towards more kind of general terms of how things are usually. I'm fucking exhausted. I'm absolutely knackered, and so is my producer. A combination of the launch of Grand Theft Auto 5 plus having to stay up till 8 o'clock in the morning to cover the League of Legends World Championships has absolutely battered my sleep pattern. And I'm in the process of, I'm in a warm studio room. I fucking, had a massive dinner, and I'm about to have a beer. So there's a chance I might fall asleep on air, and maybe you have as well, because I've gone on for too long as it is. But that's the introduction. This is Trash Talk. What are we going to be talking about this week? Well, we don't know exactly. We never know what we're going to get. But here are the suggestions that we lovingly put out for you guys. Obviously, DreamHack has announced a $250,000 CSGO tournament. 3 letters for that. WTF. What's all that about? So call in and tell us what you think that means for the scene. One of the big debates emanating from that is who should cast it, who should be the voice of this, first major esports event for Counter-Strike Global Offensive. There's a lot of people saying, it should be community guys. There's a lot of people saying it should be stars like Toby One, who's not particularly known for Counter-Strike. I'd love to get your opinion about it. Will the money that's coming into Counter-Strike, will it usher in a new era of CSGO professionalism? Are people going to step up and try and take that NIP crown? Because there's only really NIP that treat Counter-Strike like a job at the moment. On LoL, we got the World Championships have ended. Well, the first half of the group stage has ended. Has there been any shocks for you? The Koreans have been a little bit underwhelming as well. Was the whole hype nothing more than a circle jerk? Would love to hear if you're a North American or European fan, maybe a Korean as well. Who knows? Predictions for the rest of the World Championships, because, it's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. It's gone a little bit, according to plan, I would say, but there have been a few shocks, such as Ozone losing some games. As well as all of that, we've got huge team roster shuffles incoming. NIP are the first. Dave Pilford, SK for Hercubot and Kevin. What does that mean for their team? What does that mean for SK? Let us know. Riot is still looking for new casters. Who's going to come in? Who's going to go out? I'd love your opinions on that. While all of this has been going on, Tasia has won DreamHack Bucharest. Is Tasia the best StarCraft 2 player on the planet right now? I think yes. Maybe you don't, so let's have an argument about that. And there was only 1 non-Korean in the top 8 and only 2 in the last 16. Is this ever going to change? Is WCS going to help change that? I'd love to get your opinions about it. And today, my good friend Katz from Root Gaming did a blog about how to improve StarCraft 2. Maybe you read it. Maybe you've got some thoughts on it. Maybe you agree or disagree. Again, I'd love to talk about it with you. So if you want to call in, you know what you have to do. Yeah, Trash Talk TV to your Skype. We're going to get underway with the first call, which I believe is going to be League of Legends related. Who have we got, Gareth?
Well, actually, I decided to mix things up a little bit, seeing as most of the chat are talking about the casters for CSGO. I thought we'd get Anders in
all right,
first.
Producer, it's your call. Let's do it then. Right, Anders, for those that don't know, maybe you follow another game, Anders is a community caster. He works for NIP TV. He does a lot of good work in the community, and I'm guessing he's got some views on this. So, Anders, how's it going, brother?
Oh, 1 second.
That's all right, mate.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I think my
Skype just crashed. So actually what I'm just going to do, I'm just going to quickly close it and open it again. You'll call me up in a second. Is that cool?
Yeah, of course, mate. You go nuts for it. I'll try and hype you up a bit more while you call back. Okay, well, so I'm going to hype him up. So, yeah, Anders works for Nip TV. He is one of the long-standing, I guess, now CSGO casters. We've had a lot of Counter-Strike casters that have cast, previous iterations of the game. Anders kind of came in at CSGO. He's done a lot of hard work and eventually got picked up by Nip TV after a long time sort of volunteering and doing his cast. So here he is. He's back, I believe.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Richard.
Right. No, it's all very good. So it's good to talk to you, and it's good to have you calling in the show. So what's on your mind in regards to DreamHack? I mean, first of all, I guess we should talk about what you think the tournament means in this amazing prize fund.
Oh, well, I wish I had some very deep insight. I mean, I guess I can talk about what I hope it will mean, which is obviously that we could restore Counter-Strike to its former glory, and maybe even more than that. People always talk about the MOBAs and the RTS games as if though they are sort of predestined to be the only thing in esports, and I don't think that's true. I think we can have room for some really good FPS games as well, and I'm hoping that this could be the first step on the road to that.
I mean, it's a lot of money. I sort of felt that, and I think a few others made the point that it might have been better to maybe spread that sort of wealth a little bit more rather than having this one sort of huge marquee event. And I know Valve like those. I don't know if you've heard of something called the International. They do like to have these huge life-changing prize funds. And this is the first kind of sniff of that for Counter-Strike. I don't know. Do you think it would be better served if it was maybe spread across, 3 75,000 tournaments or something like that?
Well, two things in that regard. I think as a general answer, yes, I think it's better to have multiple I don't want to say smaller events, but I think it's good to spread the wealth a little bit more. But I think they wrote actually in their press release that this is just only the beginning, that they are gonna be funding other events, and I think that's absolutely crucial. You have to consider as well that if you only fund one event, then that will damage, a lot of the other tournaments that might be going on. I mean, it's still a question that's kind of up in the air a little bit. What's going to happen to, let's say, the Raid Core Finals, ESCA, the MSI Beat It tournament that's going on? I think Tech Lab's also probably going to be somewhere in November. All of these events that are very close to DreamHack Winter, are they going to be able to attract teams like NIP and Very Games and so on, because you probably know more about this than I do, Richard, but they're going to be taking a lot of time off of their schedule to be going to these events, and they'd pretty rather be at home practicing to win a $250,000 tournament. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I agree. I mean, what I would say is there isn't anything like practicing at an event, and I know from my experience with mixing with the top teams down the years, one of the things that they've I've always found from them is they'll go to smaller events and treat it as little more than a boot camp. It's not, the results not even important because the prize money is almost insignificant, and you certainly get that a lot with UK teams. But I agree with what you're saying. But I also think it's about time some of these people fucking practiced. It can't just be your guys at NIP that actually treat it as if it's an esport worth dedicating your life to. And I understand why that is. I know the guys at NIP get very good salaries. I know the guys at NIP have very good sponsorship deals. I know the guys at NIP have already made such a huge amount of prize money compared to a lot of people who play Counter-Strike for, CSS in particular, for a long period of time. But I got to say, it's what comes first, the chicken or the egg. If you don't pony up and put the work in, you can't expect the rewards to be pumped into the scene. Yeah,
that's pretty true. I mean, I think you're right that the playing field is a little bit uneven. There pretty aren't many teams out there. I guess Very Games and Astana might be some of the other ones that we could put to that list of people who might have the resources to really put in, 100%. But, I mean, I guess that could be a thing that could really help with this tournament as well, because the fact is a lot of the organizations that are out there, they aren't really supporting Counter-Strike that much. We see, SK, Mouse Sports, I think MTW might just be starting up in a weird way again, I've heard rumors about that. But the fact is a lot of teams out there right now are actually just, they have names like Mixed Team. You see the, Western Wolves shut down and now they're back as Awesome. But, if you have a tournament and you add a name like Awesome to the sort of the list of teams that are joining, that's not going to be very attractive. People want to see names like Western Wolves and Mouse Sports and so on, and I could understand that. So maybe this tournament could not just motivate the players, but it could motivate some of the organizations out there to say, well, maybe we should invest back into Counter-Strike again. That could be another potential bonus.
Yeah, I mean, again, you make a good point. What I wouldn't want to happen, though, and again, I've seen this quite a lot, is I wouldn't want organizations to sort of be like, okay, there's a huge prestigious tournament around the corner. Let's pick up a team for that. And I've seen this with organizations where it's like, okay, we want to enter a team into that particular competition because of the exposure it's going to get. What happens either side of that? We actually don't really care about that much. What you might find is that organizations that are picking up CSGO teams for this event, a month or two after the event's over and their team hasn't won it, they just think, well, we're better off going nuts deep in Dota 2 or League of Legends all over again. So it's one of those things where it's like, you're absolutely right. It could be like having the electric paddles, boom, out and giving CSGO this huge jolt. But, it might not be enough to sort of permanently revive the heart of the scene. And I'm worried. Oh, yeah. I'm worried about it becoming a little bit gimmicky. I mean, that's just that's a little bit of a, kind of concern of mine.
Well, I think that sort of ties it up nicely with the initial discussion that we were having about whether or not it's going to be a one-off thing or it's going to be a full sort of list of events for 2014. Because if you're right, if we do sort of jolt the slightly dead corpse of Counter-Strike and make it rise for just 1 month or for the end of November, and that's going to be it, then that's really bad. But if people look and say, okay, 2014, we've got a whole list of tournaments that look to be sponsored by at least the money from Valve. I guess we can't really say sponsored by Valve, but then sponsored by the community. If that's what we're looking forward to, then some of these organizations, instead of making it a one-time investment, they might stick around for a little bit longer. I mean, I'm just kind of dreaming here. I think people in the community have realized that I'm kind of the optimist here. So, and I don't have much of an experience, but this is my hope anyway, that maybe that's going to happen. I get contacted on a regular basis from various sort of organizations who want to talk to me about streaming, and a lot of it has been for 2014, where people say, we want to start up, we want to build some Counter-Strike stuff, and it is looking promising. And with the help from Valve, maybe 2014 could really be our year then.
Well, I hope so. Let's talk about you, though, and where you figure in all of this, because you'll have seen the threads. I believe you posted in the one on our website, and people are saying, well, who's going to cast this huge prestigious tournament? And I agree that it's an important question, because if you think about the esports moments that you remember down the years, you remember the casters that are associated with the moments. You remember the dialogue. You remember the voices. You remember the people that got you hyped and got you pumped. And the person who is selected, or the people who were selected to narrate this next glorious chapter in the Counter-Strike history, have got to absolutely get it right. And it's a huge honor to have it bestowed upon them. But equally, it could be the bane of their life. Because of how the Counter-Strike community is. So you're a caster, yes. And your hat's very much in the ring, so to speak, and people are talking about you getting it. I know it's probably difficult to talk about yourself and talk about other professionals, but fuck it, this is trash talk. That's how we roll. So what's your take on it?
Well, I mean, I guess I knew about the fact that DreamHack Winter was going to be a big event sometime before the announcement was made, and I didn't really think about much. I just genuinely excited about the fact that it was going to be that, and then now that the announcement was out and people were talking about the casters and the show and everything about it, I suddenly it occurred to me how much is riding on this one event to be really good, just like you said, and maybe I shouldn't say, but there was a slight moment of panic when I thought, well, am I going to be able to lift this burden? And there's no doubt that if DreamHack end up, I mean, there's no, just to be clear, and this actually, okay, I'm gonna start from the first point that I was making. Just to be clear, DreamHack haven't contacted me yet. I think I'm going to talk to them sometime this week, maybe, and we'll see what's up. But they haven't been speaking to me yet. But if they do, I mean, there's no doubt that it's going to involve a massive amount of work from my side. I really need to. There's a lot I need to do. And then I think the other thing that I was worried about is, what if they do end up choosing someone like Joe Miller, or somebody, one of these old legends that sort of come back and really, in many ways, and in my mind too, define Counter-Strike. I grew up listening to Joe Miller, and as a caster now, as professionally, I mean, I love listening to him, even if it's League of Legends. I enjoy just his style and his control of of the cast in general. And then I think I realized, and this is maybe a little bit sad, but I realized that I had in my mind, I guess, I felt like I had fought my way up here. I really deserved in a way to get invited. And then again, that's a really stupid thing to say, because obviously that's not what it's about at all. It's about who can create the best show. So if the people at DreamHack and if the community in large feel like that's me, I'm obviously going to be really honored, and I'll work my ass off to get it right. But if they think it's someone else, then I heard rumors that Corey was going to be invited. I think he said so as well, maybe on Twitter. So what someone told me. So if that's how it works, then I'm probably still going to go there. I'm still going to be supporting the event. I've decided to put my ego out of that equation as much as I can. Obviously, I won't say I won't be disappointed, because that would be inhuman probably. But in my mind, who's the best for the job? I really don't know. I think I can only speak for myself in that sense. I think Corey is a good choice. He has that sexy American accent, and I hope they're going to invite. I really, more than anything, I hope they're going to invite Khan to do color casting. I know it's really going to be difficult because he has a team there and all, but I really enjoyed color casting with Khan, or casting with Khan in general.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'll tell you what, it takes a lot of balls to say what I have no doubt every Counter-Strike caster is thinking, but would never admit to for fear of how it makes them look. And that is, when you've done the hard yards and you put the work in, a part of you does think, well, fuck it, I deserve to be asked. I deserve it. I mean, fuck, what's the work for if it wasn't for the for the opportunity? But then, like you say, like so many things in esports, don't necessarily have a lot to do with it. And it's a tough one for me, because I'll be straight up honest with you about how I think about it. And I'll say this as somebody who, the minute it was announced, because obviously I do a bit of casting on the side, I messaged Robert and said, I'll toss my hat in the ring if you need some guy to do it. Like, I'm not going to bullshit about it. I said, I'd be up for it, and would enjoy doing it. But and I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who might pretend otherwise. But the fact of the matter is that like I say, what I wouldn't want to have happen is guys like Toby1, who they don't really contribute a lot to the Counter-Strike community. They don't really engage with it. They don't really understand it. They have made a name for themselves in a much bigger game. And then whenever there's a kind of a big event where they know they're going to get 30,000 viewers, such as the Star Ladder thing, because of the Russian numbers and the Russian teams and the Ukrainian teams that are involved in it, all of a sudden he wants to cast a game. And I think, whatever I think of the guy, Toby, and he's a lovely chap, I think that's bullshit. And I think, like, when you're a part-timer, you shouldn't get the big gigs. Like, if he wants to do that on his own dime, cool, that's fine. If he wants to do it on his own time and at the expense of other things, brilliant. I don't think DreamHack should be extending an invitation to him or people like him to represent, the Counter-Strike community and to basically vocalize the Counter-Strike experience, because these people are outsiders. As good as they are, they're outsiders. And I kind of almost have that feeling for Joe these days. And again, I'm good friends with Joe Miller, no doubt about it. Love Joe to bits. We've had many a beer down the years. I think he's a supremely talented caster. I think he could do any game. I love the way he's, built himself now into being this real, genuine esports personality. He does interviews. He can do a bit of everything, and he's great on camera.
Yeah.
But he has he's now, for me, he isn't the voice of Counter-Strike anymore. He is the voice. He's one of the voices of League of Legends. Him and D-Man have made that role their own. And as good as it would be to have him come back, I don't know. I feel it would be almost like a token gesture. So who have we really got? Well, there's guys like Red Eye who never turn their back on Counter-Strike.
But he's in Shanghai.
Yeah, and he's in Shanghai and he can't do it. So all of a sudden we're in this weird situation where it's like, do we invite the guys who we know can do a great job, who we've kind of got this fond nostalgia for, who's got a lot of hype, and they may do the best job? Do we go with the deserving community people who might not do as good a job in the eyes of the community? I think DreamHack have got a very tough decision ahead of them, and I wouldn't want to advise them on what the right decision is.
No, me neither, and they probably have some other sort of factors in their mind that we might not be thinking about. Like, say, what matters most. Is it bringing sort of really good in-depth analysis and understanding of the game forward? Then we need a setup where we have 2 play-by-play casters and 2 color casters, in my opinion. Because the thread that was on Cadred and on HLTV and everywhere else, they all featured people saying, let's get Richard Lewis and Corey, and then we'll get Semler and Anders to do it, and then all of a sudden we have 4 play-by-play casters, and that really doesn't make any sense. I mean, at the very least, if you want to do that kind of setup, you'll need to have some sort of analysis desk. But I still feel like it'll probably be inferior to having someone who can actually, in between rounds, explain to people at a much deeper level than most play-by-play casters can actually do. So I feel like that's also up to the setup. But then the thing is, from a DreamHack's point of view, what is going to actually attract the most people? And if you put Joe Miller's name on the list and say, okay, $250,000 tournament, we've got Joe Miller back into Counter-Strike, that might attract a lot of people, and all our thoughts about what is going to create the best experience, those might go around out the window. And not to say that I think Joe Miller could pretty pick out on Counter-Strike pretty quickly if you put in the time, if he has the time for it. I feel like that's actually the problem that I would say every other caster than me right now, because I'm in a very fortunate position to be able to put all my time into it every single day, and nobody else has the time. I bet if Pansy and Joe Miller and Red Eye, and if they could sit down and say, okay, we'll do Counter-Strike 6 hours a day, but the world doesn't work like that, so they don't have that opportunity, and how could they?
Well, I heard Pansy's not even in the mix because she's been fucking put on World of Tanks. I don't know if that's true. That's the rumor doing the rounds. But obviously ESL have got this thing going with World of Tanks at the moment, so she's getting, I mean, I wouldn't say the shitty end of the stick, but I've watched World of Tanks. No. I think if you can make that game sound exciting for spectators, you're probably the greatest caster of all time. I mean, like, fuck it, there's no doubt about it. That is a tall order. So I guess in a way that's a huge show of faith in her ability from ESL, and she's come a long way in a short time.
It is, but I mean, to be honest, I was disappointed. Actually, I was really excited when ESL did pick up Pansy, because I think she has like a natural talent. Her vocabulary is amazing, and she's just she's got that energy. And I was looking forward to seeing her much more involved in Counter-Strike, and now it turns out she's also partly involved in World of Tanks. And I think Firefall and ESL, I guess that's how ESL works partly, isn't it? I mean, they have people doing lots of different tasks, and that kind of makes sense. But it also grinds me a little bit, because I wish she could have more time to do Counter-Strike. I really wish, but because I think the fact is that it does require a little bit of attention to the everyday workings. You don't have to watch every game every day in SLTV Star Series or whatever, but it does help if you have an idea about just take a look at a team like Alternate, who in the past 3 or 4 days have all of a sudden managed to become incredibly good, and nobody knows why, but everybody's really.
I'm sure people have some suggestions, Anders. I'm pretty sure with German players.
I'm sure, but this is without Crystal playing. They're playing with Rack instead now, and they've got some guy named Igor. People I've heard about Rack, but Igor not so much, and they're just playing very well. I think they actually beat Very Games today on Dust 2, if I'm not mistaken.
And they beat them today as well, didn't they? Didn't they 16-10?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
they did. Unfortunately, there was some DDoSing going on. But the thing is, if you don't keep your if you don't keep your ear to the road of the table or whatever, then you might end up saying some things on the stream where people are like, well, does this guy not even know what he's talking about? And as I said again, I think I've been very fortunate to be in a position all of a sudden where I can actually spend all this time on doing it. So,
what about pros? Which pros do you think should be involved, Anders? Maybe former pros or current pros. Are there any players that stand out to you? I mean, I see a lot of people talking about Lurpis, and Lurpis despises me for whatever reason, but that's fine.
Lurpis despises a lot of people.
Yeah, well, he's not the full shilling, is he? Let's be honest. So bless him. He's entitled to his opinions, same as anyone else who's not quite the full shilling. But I think again, for the same reason, it would be a travesty to bring in these outside people to suddenly like, oh, hey, look, our game's big, so we're going to go to big esports personalities, and everyone who helped build the game up can go fuck themselves. Why would you have Lurpis involved getting a paycheck when from day one he said CSGO was shit, CSGO would never get anywhere, Valve didn't have a clear plan, blah, 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 all this negative stuff. And yet He draws a paycheck from HLTV.org to promote it and write news about it. He draws a paycheck from ESEA to basically publicly pretend that they're not a corrupt sewer, which is what they are. And, and he makes a comfortable living off CSGO. So I find that astounding. So, I would absolutely say, even if it wasn't Lurpus and we weren't old sparring partners, I would absolutely say, fuck that guy. I mean, fuck that guy in the ass. So, but apart from that, I'm up for anyone else.
I mean, this is a discussion that comes up regularly, and I will say this much: when I actually didn't watch the DreamHack Summer 2011, I guess, where Lurpus was on with Red Eye, but when I was told that I was going to be going to DreamHack Summer this year, and I was found out I was going to be casting with Lurpus, the reaction from everybody I told afterwards, because it was either going to be Naruto or Lurpus, and people were sort of cautiously asking me, so who are you going to be streaming with? And I said, well, I'm going to be streaming with Lurpus. And invariably people put their face to their hands and they made a really ugly sound. They said, oh no. And people were like, poor Anders, it's going to be awful. And then, so my expectations were really kind of low for that one. I thought it was going to be maybe, me trying to find just a glimmer of hope and him saying this is all shit because it's not 1.6 and all that stuff. That was honestly my expectation. But I will say this though, yeah, he does have. He's a very opinionated person. There's no doubt, and he has some strong opinions, and he's not afraid to broadcast them.
Definitely don't have a problem with opinions, though. I definitely don't have a problem with opinions.
Oh no, definitely not. But I will say this though, like on the stream, he was perfectly professional when I was there, and that's, I guess I have to say that at the very least. But you could still say, well, as a sort of as a message to send to the rest of the world, then yeah, inviting someone who's been very critical of Global Offensive, that might not be in everybody's best interests. I think I've enjoyed working with Lurpus as having him as a color caster, but as I said, I when you asked about who else might be interesting, I really hope that Khan could be convinced, but at the same time, him being manager of Fnatic might be really difficult. But I think that what I enjoy so much about Khan is the fact that when he's talking about strategy, you can hear in his voice that old spark of him being an in-game leader and all that stuff, spending hours, that is revived every time he talks about it. Even in Global Offensive, he's like, oh, I wish they could have done this, that, and the other thing. And you can kind of tell the excitement, and that's, I think that's very attractive. So, I would say Khan would probably be my number one choice.
Yeah, well, I got a lot of time for Khan. I think he's a great guy. I see him at all the events. And just to do a bit of balance, which, again, I'm usually not that concerned about it because, I've got the right to say what the fuck I want, especially on my own show. Lurpus, he does a good job. There's no doubt about it. Like, he does know what he's talking about. And when he gets his head out his ass and stops, just using it as a platform, a flame, people he's got weird little protracted grudges against. If you listen to the DreamHack cast he did, where all he obsessed about was Rattlesnake, how Rattlesnake was substandard, blah 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 blah. He, basically he gets these agendas, like that article he wrote, which was meant to be a statistical analysis of NiP, again your team, which was basically just a thinly veiled why NiP should kick Fiflaren. And he talks about Fiflaren endlessly, as if he's some kind of horrific weak link who's got no place in modern, Counter-Strike, which is, again, bullshit. But when he actually just concentrates on the fucking game, he is a good color caster. Sticks in my craw to say it, but truth is truth, and you can't escape from it. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. My only objection, like I say, is if you say something's bollocks and you will something to fail, and then it succeeds, you cannot be the first in the queue for a handout. You cannot be the first in the queue and pretend that you loved it all along. Bollocks. That's just wrong in any line of work, So that's my take on it. So anyway, look, final thoughts from you, because we have talked about this some time. Is how are you feeling about it all? It's an exciting time to be involved in Counter-Strike, I guess. Do you feel that the scene growing is going to be good for you personally, or are you a little bit worried that this growth might actually kind of overshadow and eclipse all your wonderful efforts so far?
That's a good question, actually, and it's been on my mind. And it's actually something I think I dealt with very early on when I realized that things were going in the right direction. I mean, Semler is someone we haven't mentioned yet, but who's also putting a lot of work now. He works at the Good Studio currently, and streams as much as he possibly can. He's also partly involved with StarCraft, this upcoming week. But still, he's someone I've been streaming a lot with and enjoying, and so on. And and I kind of, I've been inviting him on, and some people have been asking me this in the past, saying, well, aren't you basically helping to promote people who might become your competitors in the near future? Which is partly true, but I guess, I don't know, from a professional point of view, if my product, if my stream is only worth anything as long as nobody else is around, then I'm kind of living an illusion, am I not? I mean, that means that it's not good enough, and then I'd rather find out quickly and then do something else with my life. If it is good enough to stand up to everybody else who might be coming in, I don't have to be number one, by the way, to keep going. But for the moment, NIPTV has become the most popular stream, and it's not just all because of how wonderful and great I am. It's also partly because of some incredibly lucky timing on my part. I mean, I ended up streaming at a point where Risk was the only one doing any real streaming, and he took a break really short after, a short time after I started, and then there was really nobody else. Red Eye and Joe Miller were all caught up in something else. And then the game has been growing steadily ever since I started. So yeah, obviously I've put in something ridiculous like 40, 50 hours a week or something doing it and preparing and all that sort of stuff. So it's not like there's not hard work involved either. But yeah, I feel like it should be, it shouldn't be the case that I'm only as good as I am because there's nobody else around. I hope that if someone like Toby, if Joe Miller comes back, then, they're going to be people watching them and saying, to hell with Anders. But I'm hoping there are going to be some people who are still going to be like, yeah, we still want to listen to you. And if there is, then, I'll just continue the work that I'm doing. And hopefully, if that qualifies me to be invited to DreamHack in the end, then cool. If it's not, then, I've got more work to do. I've only been streaming since January. In my schedule, in my mind, when I started out streaming, I put aside, I think I said 6 months. And if nothing, if it was all trash after 6 months, I'd stop. But I'd give myself at least 6 months just to be, just to see where it went. And then after a year, I'd start making any judgments about whether or not, it was worth continuing to do or not. So for me, the 1 year period was just kind of like it was like a time where I try and evaluate how well things were going. And then all of a sudden it exploded. So things have already gone far and above my expectations. And that's obviously, motivated me to keep on working and keep on doing what I do. But, can't get too ahead of yourself either. Maybe, some of these people that are my, rivals now essentially have years and years of experience, and that's hard to beat.
Well, look, brother, I like what you do, and I know that you're a good guy, so I'm just leaning around to get my other beer. I'm going through these at a rate of knots. Yeah, I remember meeting you in Copenhagen and seeing all your preparation, all the work you put into it. And I know what it's like when you fucking, take the plunge like this. I think you're in the ideal place with Nip because I know Nicholas and all the guys, and they'll look after you. And I'm sure you'll continue to grow. And if you don't get invited to this DreamHack thing, and fuck it, we'll probably both be in the not invited club. We'll just make our own fucking treehouse. We're blackjack and hookers, and we'll just pretend it's not happening. We'll cast our own games because I'm sure you're gonna go on to bigger and better things regardless, mate. So anyway, Thanks a lot for calling in the show. It was great to pick your brains, and no doubt I'll look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Excellent. Have a nice one, Richard.
All right, take care, man. All the best. So there you go. That's Anders. He's a lovely guy. And he does a lot of good work, and he's a very good stream. I actually like him as a caster. Not everyone's cup of tea, but the thing about casting is it's pretty subjective, unless of course you're Rizzik. No, I'm just kidding. He's in the chat. He knows. I'm just joking, probably. Anyway, maybe you've got some thoughts about who should get the gig and who shouldn't. Maybe you got some thoughts about what pros you'd like to see there. If you'd like to tell us more about who should be casting the DreamHack CSGO tournament, $250,000 tournament, thanks to the crowd funding sale of the crates, add Trash Talk TV to your Skype, and let's go bonkers. Anyway, we're going to do one more call before we cut to a break. Gareth, are we going to get some League of Legends chat in his house?
Yes, that is correct. And it's going to be Derek. He wants to talk about the Reggie Hayton as well as the TSM.
Cool. Well, I do love a bit of TSM talk. So, Derek, can you hear me? Hello, Derek. Are you with me?
He hasn't accepted yet. He was here, though, so...
I'm sure he's going to come.
Crossed.
Here he is. Yes, is that Derek?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can, brother. How's it going? So... you're about to bring up my favourite subject, which is TSM and Reggie. Love to talk about them. So, what's on your mind?
Yeah, so basically, I want to say that I think that the community, they really like hate Reggie and they're always bashing Reggie, but I don't think that it is. I think it's bad what they're doing because I mean, sure he is a BM to Dyrus in the video and he goes overboard and but I think the community they don't ever make logical explanations for or arguments. They just say I mean when you wrote your article, I think that it is your opinion, but you logically explain why you think this opinion.
Yeah, I
But
mean, I know what you mean. It's almost hysterical. But what I would say is, all right. I think when you've got a reputation, what a intelligent person would be doing would be trying their very hardest to at least kind of hide any evidence of that negative aspect of their personality. And what Reggie did was to look. I don't believe for 1 second Reggie goes mental like that at his teammates all of the time. I don't think anyone would play in a team with him if that was the case. I don't think anyone would live in a house with him if that was the case, no matter how much money was being thrown at them. But what I think I think he is prone, as in he will do it on occasion, and he did it on fucking stream. He must have known Dyrus was streaming when he did that, and it's this
Yeah.
lack of awareness that I think means that he's fair game to be ripped on by the community when he does things like that.
Yeah, but I agree, but I think that the community's reaction is so stupid. They don't even say that he shouldn't act this way. They just go and say stupid stuff like he has no eyebrows, he looks like a monkey, and dumb shit. Like it's so stupid. They don't even make any logical sense. And they're just like bench him. I think that a lot of the community's reaction is just they think Dyrus is so weak to stand up for himself that they're fanboying around Dyrus. But I mean, Dyrus is a grown man; he can stand up for himself too. Like you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do know what you're saying. I'm just trying to elaborate, man. The whole no eyebrows thing is just fucking. It's creased me. Well, okay, but let's talk about the performance because I'm actually gonna be a little bit controversial here. He did have a good game against Lemon Dogs, but I think that the fact that he basically utilized the odd one to play as a second support in mid, so he could get all of his kills on Nuke Duck and then snowball with Zed, that hasn't really been talked about by anyone. He didn't do it alone.
Yeah, well, but I think that's exactly how the League of Legends game works. I think that normally a mid laner or a top laner or even the bot lane, when they get the most fed, is because the jungler is just always at their lane, constantly putting pressure. I mean, you can see it in the SKT match versus TSM. That jungler, he just constantly camped Dyrus lane, and they got that tanky top laner Renekton really fed, and Dyrus was really far behind. And I mean, Reggie and Faker, they were pretty much going even. The both junglers never came to the mid lane and during the laning phase, and then Reggie was only about 10 CS behind Faker during the laning phase, and Oddwin was going bot lane to try to get turtle fed. But
Are you a TSM fan?
Well, yeah, I am a TSM fan, but I mean, it's weird because I think that Reggie deserves, I mean, to be said, like you can't act this way towards your teammates, whatever. But at the same time, I think that this type of shit happens to Koreans. Like their coaches are probably even worse to their players than Reggie was to Dyer.
Yeah,
but
I've heard a lot of stories actually about some of the shit that goes on in these
yeah,
Korean gaming houses. There was a
even the
story actually on League of Legends Reddit. I don't know if you saw it, where one of the teams were being, it was not a big team, a small team, but the players were being almost like held captive and forced to do rank boosting. For like
yeah,
8 hours
yeah.
a day, like for in exchange for money. So yeah, I imagine there's a lot that goes on behind closed doors in the Korean scene we'll never get to know about.
Yeah, I mean, even in some of the interviews, you can just the Korean players say, "Oh, how did you become so good at your position?" And then they'll just say, "Oh, my coach was so hard on me, telling me I was trash the whole time, over and over, and finally I just started getting good." It's kind of funny.
So what are your final thoughts then? I mean, can TSM get out of the groups? Because I don't think they can. I think they really needed to get a win over SK to SKT1 to have
Yeah,
any chance.
I don't really know. I don't think so actually. I think that OMG team, I think they're going to get first, and I think that SKT will probably get second. I think that uh it's a toss up between Lemon Dogs and TSM for that third spot, but that third spot doesn't even matter. But
Yeah.
yeah, but let's see. Um but the it's really interesting. The Koreans, I think they are very very overconfident of their abilities. Um,
Yeah,
it,
I think Ozone got brought down to earth with a bump, and certainly SK Telecom didn't expect the Chinese to roll all over them. I mean,
yeah,
the only player that played well in that game was Faker, who
yeah.
seemed unkillable at one point with his
I think
Gragas.
I think the Koreans are just like they've been in their own little world for a long time. They thought that their method was the best, and now they're getting exposed to these other methods of playing the game, and they're getting showed that their method might not be the best. And also, I read a interview on League of Legends, our League of Legends, and it was saying how the manager for the Chinese team OMG that's doing so good in the Group A, that he got scrims with all the teams in Group A, and
Yeah,
then
the
except for
Koreans wouldn't do it,
SKT.
would they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they said, "Oh, it's too late. We can't do it." And then when the Chinese team beat them, the man SKT came to their manager and said, "Can we get a scream?" And they were like, "No, it's too late. We can't do it." I thought that
Well,
was
look,
pretty funny.
Derek, it was great of you to call in. I'm sure Reggie appreciates the support because apart from that performance he had against Lemon Dogs, there hasn't really been a lot of positive press around him. So I really appreciate you calling in. I
All
hope
right,
you'll call in again some other time. Enjoy the rest of your evening, brother.
all right. Yeah, thank you.
No, no worries. Take care. So there we go. So that's Derek with a rare Reggie appreciator. What I will say is, as I said on the call, is Reginald's getting a lot of plaudits for how he played against Lemon Dogs. But the reality is, the odd one pretty much laid 3 or 4 kills on a plate for him. And the odd one did that after a terrible start. He gave away first blood. He gave away the second kill, was massively behind, and somehow found the fortitude to basically make the plays that made the difference for his team. That's the odd one, and perhaps he should be getting a bit more credit than what he did. But maybe you agree, maybe you disagree. Anyway, what we're going to do is we'll cut to a quick break there, and we'll let the chat filter out because a few of you were being mean to Derek there. Don't like that. Don't like that. It's not cool. If you've got the balls to call in, you deserve respect. So we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to get a few more beers, and because I've got a feeling this is going to be a long one. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a minute. And we're back. It's Trash Talk, and we're about the halfway point. We've had two bumper calls. One from Anders talking about CSGO and what the future of the casting is and who should be doing DreamHack and other things besides. And we just had Derek on there who was giving some love to Reggie, some much needed love to Reggie based on his performance the other day. But one of the things we like to do on this show, if you're a League of Legends fan, you will know about a chap called Travis. Travis is basically the most well-known League of Legends journalist, I guess, is a way to describe him. And one of the things that we rip on him every week, and people say, "Oh, you only do it in the hope that he'll retweet it or something." But no, I'm not bothered. It's okay. But we're going to rip on him again. And he did a great tweet. It wasn't that long ago. He was talking about how he was just chilling with some chicks at the World Finals, and he posted this photo, which I'm going to get my lovely producer to bring up on the screen now. And I want you to just have a look at it, and I want you to... oh my God. I just want you to have a look at it, and I want you to imagine if the caption was underneath that picture, "and she was never seen again." Would anyone be surprised? Would anyone honestly think that it wasn't a genuine caption? That is one of the creepiest photos I have seen for a long, long time. And he just has this way of doing it. I don't know how he does it, but he just does it. So I got a lot of love for Travis. I know everyone's like the smile. He's brilliant. So Travis, here's to you, man. That is fucking... You are a charmer. There is no doubt about it. Anyway, I fucking love esports. Mate, so we've got a caller. Have we got Dave? Is that who's calling in, Gareth? And if it is Dave, what does he want to talk about?
Yeah. Dave wants to talk about how overrated Flash is and general fanboys.
Oh, well, let's fucking do it. Sounds like it's going to be right up our street on Trash Talk. Can you... Oh, he's ringing him. Can you hear me, Dave?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I certainly can. I can hear your lovely voice.
Lovely.
Yeah. So, Dave, Flash is overrated. Discuss.
Yeah. So basically, this came up in. I don't know if you know. I manage Current G Sports. We got quite a big StarCraft 2 team, and we were randomly just chatting about sort of after DreamHack Bucharest and results, and we were saying how just me and another sort of guy in the team were saying we couldn't believe how overrated Flash still is, because. I mean, he's ranked, 44 in WCS at the moment. He lost to Zamaga, he lost to Yu-Gi-Oh!, he lost to MMA 2-0. And yet people still call him a god. They still say he's the #1 Terran in the world. He's never going to be beaten. He's #1. He's just unbeatable. He's a god. But he's really not. And it still seems to be... it's weird.
Well, don't you think that his, Brood War reputation has to count for something, though?
Well, no, because it's a new game. It's a new game at the end of the day. You can't, it's not exactly the same. It's a new game, there's new people, it's going to change. You can't just call someone because they're from an old game, they were #1 in that game, so they have to be #1 in StarCraft 2. Well, no, he missed a long time. Not
necessarily #1, because I would say that is, or in a 1v1 game, who the best player in the world is going to be inarguable at any point based on their results, based on how many tournaments they win, and certainly not the bullshit WCS system. But Flash certainly, I mean, when you consider he's not been playing the game as long as some of the other Koreans who made the move straight away, and some that didn't even touch Brood War amazingly, and yet. He is there or thereabouts. And just as he was getting to grips with one version of the game, it fucking changed again. And then he's had to get to grips with a totally different version of the game.
No, I mean, I can appreciate that. And I can appreciate how he was a god in Brood War. I'm not saying he's not. He was amazing in Brood War. But I just get annoyed when people don't give credit to the other players. You've got Bomber, who's now absolutely good and amazing. You've got Tasia, who's just... a god, he is the true god of Terran at the moment. Tasia is unbelievably good. Yet people still rate Flash above Tasia, and it's no.
Well, How much of a role do you think the media play in that? Because I've talked about this a couple of times on the show. How there's pressure on guys like me or casters or hosts or whatever to create narrative, right? Like, oh, let's have a fucking narrative. Let's tell a story. So part of that has to be if you hype someone so much and make them out to be amazing, if they win the whole tournament, you can turn around and go, fucking told you, this guy's next level, blah, blah, blah. If he gets beat by somebody else, you've got the next chapter in the story. He's like, oh my God, it's such a surprise. No. And rather than just accept the reality, which is Flash was probably the greatest Brood War player to have touched the game, is going to be naturally gifted in StarCraft 2 as a result of that, but actually isn't quite as good as what people make out. That's a much harder sell to viewers.
No, I can get that. And the only other thing that annoys me as well is the fact that all these fanboys go out there and they see him as God and stuff, and they'll just praise him forever. But the fact of the matter is he doesn't even do that much for the community, really. Like he did his first stream the other day, and that's pretty much the only streaming he does. He hardly goes abroad. He hardly works with the community like EG does or Team Liquid does. He's not a big deal anymore. I just don't see it as a big deal. I think other people should be getting much more praise than him. Like Tasia, for example, should be getting way more praise than him.
Tasia is a good example because he is. I mean, I caught a little bit of DreamHack Bucharest. I didn't watch the whole thing. I didn't go. I couldn't go because I was at a friend's wedding, his second wedding, and hopefully his last. So I had to. I had duties to perform, real life duties. So Romania just had to wait. But I caught a little bit of it on the final day, and Tasia was looking fucking stupidly
phenomenal.
good.
Phenomenal.
Like, I mean, it's like I said coming into the show, he's got to be the best player on the planet right now.
Yeah, exactly, and that's who I think should be being seen as at least the Terran god to begin with. Like, fair enough, there's some other good Zergs out there, and some good Protoss out there, but when talking about Terran, let's not talk about Flash anymore. It's number one. He's not. Like, there's plenty of players that I could list off who are much better. Like, for example, you've got Innovation, you got Bomber, you got Tasia, you got Pulp, you got Alive, you got MVP, you got MMA, who are all doing much better in terms of tournament results. And I just love to see them getting more attention these days. And even like some European players who just don't get attention. And it's a bit of a shame to see people like Flash getting all this attention, but you don't get these European players who are up and coming players. And Europe has some good sort of talent in the scene. Like, even if you compare Europe to sort of the North American scene, North America really lacks a lot of quality. But Europe does really well, and it just doesn't get that respect.
Let's talk about the fanboy mentality then, because obviously I've never understood it. I mean, I've never understood. Like, right, okay, I'm a fan, right? I follow the Oakland Raiders in NFL. I follow Newcastle United. As you can see, I pick all the best teams. I follow Newcastle United in the football over here. I've followed particular sportsmen in boxing, and been fans of particular fighters in UFC. But I'm always aware of how good they are. Like, I'm never going to come out and be like, Newcastle United are the best team in the world, because we're fucking not. Or I'm never going to say, well, Oakland Raiders are going to get the Super Bowl, because that'd be fucking laughable. Yeah. So what is it about fanboys and esports that seem to have this refusal to accept reality?
Numbers,
like when you lay it out in front of them, they cannot get it. They do not fucking understand.
Yeah, I mean, the perfect example for that is just look at a load of the EG players, for example, or even Team Liquid players. Like, they've got so many completely overhyped players. It's unbelievable. Like Huck, why is he still about? Why is he even bothering? Just go away. Stop playing for EG. So someone else. I don't know. Play for Root.
Yeah, well, I guess. I mean, EG. The argument there would be, as long as they're popular and as long as they're hitting streaming numbers, and as long as they're a big draw in terms of the media and whatnot, they're going to stick with them. But it's the fans. Like, I mean, all right, I can't even imagine, right? Hook, I remember him when he was obviously Team Liquid Hook. He was the first ever player I interviewed in StarCraft. And it's a feat I've never been allowed to repeat because EG have put me on a journalist blacklist. EG players aren't allowed to talk to the big bad Richard Lewis anymore for whatever reason, which is cool. But I don't get the fucking the journey he's gone through. Like, it makes no sense. It was like, he was amazing. He was our favourite player. We declared him Cadred's favourite player, man of the year. We loved him a bit. Like, we were so happy when he got this big opportunity. And then since then, it just bottomed the fuck out. And I'm like, actually, when you talk to the guy these days as well, he's not even really the same dude. He's not the dude that was like humble back when he was at Team Liquid and was like, sad to leave it behind. I mean, I don't even think he's aware of his own lack of ability right now. It's like EG has turned him into someone else. It's incredible.
Yeah. I mean, could the problem just be that people, when they get to this status, they get to this fanboy status, they get all these fanboys following them. Do they get lazy? Do they just think, okay, well, I'm sponsored by EG, I've got lots of followers. As long as I do a bit of streaming here and there, I don't really need to be as good as I am anymore. I don't need to put as much effort in. I don't know if it's that's happening. I don't know. It's just, it seems to be a lot less effort, and with general people who are really fanned up a lot and have these massive fan followings, they don't seem to do as well. I've definitely got a sort of a pattern going on there. I don't know if it's the same in other games. I mean, I follow StarCraft quite a lot these days, but it does seem to be happening a lot in StarCraft, and there's a lot of players who just, It
happens in console as well. Optic Gaming, they're a prime example. They've got a huge fan base, and they've not finished first in I don't know how long.
Thing is, I don't begrudge fans supporting a team for not being successful, because you should be with the players you support through thick and thin. What I don't understand is this blind. Like, right, if I was a Hook fan right now, I'd be like, well, he's going to turn up to a tournament, he's going to cheese a bunch of people, he's going to go out very early, and, I still like the dude, he's a cool guy, right? And that would be, like, the only way a fan could really talk about his relationship with this ephemeral fucking, substance that is Hook, because obviously they're never going to meet, they're never going to talk to each other. That's the interaction. But you've got to be real about it. Like, I know people who say, this is Hook's, this is the one, this is the fucking tournament. No, it isn't. He's never going to win anything from now until the end of time. He's done. He is an also ran if it was a horse race. That's just the reality of it. And it's cool if you want to still stand by him at that point, but don't fill me with shit every tournament. It's fucking
don't see him as a god. I think that's the annoying thing. Don't see him as a god who's unbeatable, because he's not. And I think Idra was another example of that recently. He's just he was completely and utterly fanboyed the hell out of. Like, you go in Twitch chat and everyone would be like, "Oh, Idra's playing. He's playing this random Masters guy. He's not going to lose. He's going to completely rape this guy." And he'd actually lose to a random top Masters player. It's like, there you go. Yeah. And then he'll be like, no, he's just having a bad day.
I think the problem I have with Idra is that, right, all of his fans, I think a lot of his fans actually accept his limitations as a player, or did accept his limitations as a player, because who knows what the fuck he's going to be now, like some Hearthstone professional or something, who knows. But what used to really annoy me about their fans was like, oh man, he's so real though. He just tells it like it is. He's so real. And the thing about Idra is, he's the opposite of real, because he's never the same from day to day. He says whatever he thinks is going to obfuscate the reality. So if he has a bad performance, he's more likely to come out and say some bullshit about how bad the tournament was ran, which he did at IEM. And the reason he does that, well, because if people are saying how bad Manady is, or if people are saying, oh my God, he's the only player with the balls to come out and say this stuff, then what they're doing is they're not talking about, God, Idra's been shit for ages. Yeah. He's been so bad for so long. And his fans don't realise that actually this is a guy who will say anything, even to the point of contradicting himself. Like, I mean, I wrote a little piece about it, and we took two quotes, 6 months apart, and I'm going to have to paraphrase here because I don't have them to hand, but you'll get the gist. One quote was, winning is everything to me. It's all I care about. The other one was basically how the game's not my life. I don't care. Well, which one is it, Greg? because it can't be both, and that's Idra in a nutshell. You know, I mean, if people think that makes him deep, it's actually not deep. It's very transparent. He's just a guy who says whatever he needs to say at any given time to basically, you know, try and obscure the reality, which is, you know, for a long time he was a very mediocre talent, paid a lot of money, and at the first opportunity EG really had when they could justify getting rid of him, they did.
I think a good example of a decent sort of person to follow and be a fan of is someone like Demuslim. I mean, Demuslim is down to earth. He's always streaming. He's sort of interacting with his followers. He's actually starting to help people out with coaching now, and he's a great person to follow on stream. But he's not the sort of person that goes out and says, "Look, I'm number one. I'm going to win this." He is realistic, and his fans are also realistic whenever you talk to them. So I think that's sort of what I'd like to see more of in StarCraft 2, especially. I guess in esports in general, just less of the complete sort of blind fanboyism that's going on. It's just a shame to see it when there's so many other people deserving that sort of.
I agree with you, Dave. So here's how we're going to end the call. Right, you can't choose Flash, but what you're going to go for, right? So because we've already talked about him to death. But what I'm going to do is I am going to empower you, okay, for one moment and one moment only. Who is the fucking fakest, biggest load of trash that does not deserve any of the attention he gets? And for the second part of it, who is the most underrated person who deserves our love and adoration?
Oh, the second one's hard. The first one, I would probably go for Huck, to be honest. I just the amount of ads he's in and things like that, it's just stupid, really. It doesn't make any sense, and that's pretty straightforward. The second one is a hard one. I'd probably go for someone like Stardust, to be honest. He's exploded a lot more recently since he won DreamHack. Yeah. But I think Stardust is definitely a talent to watch out for.
Fellow pros don't dig him though. They think he's a cheeser.
He's not.
Which is kind of true. It's kind of
not really. He's got well worked builds, and they're all sort of like when you first saw him win at DreamHack with his sort of versus Zerg builds, they were pretty damn worked out, and you can see he really worked towards that. It wasn't just plain cheese. So, I mean, yeah, fair enough. He might do some cheesy builds, but so do all Protoss, let's be honest. There's a bit of trash talk in there, but
right.
I mean...
Well, look, Dave, again, a very good call, very illuminating. I liked it. We actually got some trash talk tonight, which is great. So, mission fucking accomplished. All the best. I'll even let you plug Carnage. How can people support you?
Well, I mean, pretty easy. Facebook.com/CarnageEsports, one word. Twitter, just @CarnageEsports.
Okay.
Any follows appreciated. Thanks a lot.
No worries. Have a good night, Dave. All the best.
Bye.
So there you go. So Flash is overrated. Hook's overrated. Everyone's trash except Stardust, which, I mean, that surprises me. That's actually quite shocking to me because a lot of people think he's a bit of a cheeser, and I like the guy. I'm kind of in that I'm on that side of the fence. I see a few people as well saying that the guy I would love to remove, Richard Lewis. Why the fuck you in my Twitch TV chat? You're the guys I love the best, right? Because these are the guys who profess to hate you, but they obsess over every little thing you do. They watch every fucking minute that you stream. They look at all your tweets, they read every article, and they're doing it because they're trying to find something that you've said wrong, a factual inaccuracy, something they disagree with, something they know they can run with to make you hated by the community. But I don't care. People like you are the only fucking reason. Like, annoying people like you are the only reason I keep going. If you'd all just shut the fuck up, I'd probably stop. But annoying you is just too fucking sweet. So here's to you. If you want to call in and add to that, Trash Talk TV, add it to Skype, and let's do some opinions, because that's what esports is all about. Who we got next, Gareth?
We've got regular caller, the small guy, and he wants to expand on, or at least discuss what Dave just talked about, how players are all trapped, is what he said.
Okay, well, it's Talhart, the small guy. Can you hear me there, my dwarven brother?
Dwarven? Oh, alright, I don't even want to come on anymore. Right, I'm done.
You can't call yourself the small guy. You're not expecting to get compared to a midget.
Okay.
How's life treating you anyway? You're a regular caller. I feel we've got a rapport going. Is life good?
Yeah, I didn't actually have something for today until now, but actually, hold on. Yeah, I just had to mute the stream. Your friend asked me, so you're going to come on today? I was like, I'll think about it. But I said something in the chat about the previous thing about like someone said, why is Huck still in EG? And I feel like some people do actually miss the point of what gaming has become now, what esports is. Think of professional players as athletes. They all peak at a certain moment. They all peak at a certain time in their esports career. And that's when they do really well. For Huck, it was like a year or a year and a half ago at DreamHack, like where he won the massive tournament, he beat Moon, blah, 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 and then he went on, got a ton of streamers from there. That's where I know him from. But clearly he hasn't been winning that much, but he's still around, and people are like, why is he still in EG? But the thing is I know for a fact in the interview, Huck said that he left all of his studies, everything, to go pro. And that's the thing. People leave education at an early age just to do this, just to go pro in the games that they want. So going back to a normal life would be kind of hard for them, especially in esports at the time. At his peaking time, there wasn't that much money being thrown into StarCraft 2. So thinking about it, he hasn't actually earned a lot of money. And for him just to go, it'll be tough for him. So
but hang on. I mean, like, he's earned more than the average fucker humping a part-time job down Papa John's, right? And he's probably had a lot more fun doing it. So, I mean, we can't play the violins for Huck, can we? Like, no more than we could play the violins for professional footballers in 1950, 1960, because they didn't make millions like the guys do these days, but they still did all right. And they managed to avoid the soul-crushing 9 to 5 that most of us guys have had to go through. I don't know about you, Talha. Have you got a regular job?
I'm actually a student. So
okay. Well, how's being a student working for you? Do you enjoy it? Is it cool?
No, not really.
So I mean, like for all the good parts, yeah, you get to go out. There's cheap booze, an abundant. I mean, this was uni in my day. It's probably changed because most students I meet these days, not you, just the other guys, are boring fuckers. But all like Hugo Boss glasses, uniform, haircuts, really fucking boring, in bed by midnight. Fuck those guys. When I went to uni, it was the first year that it was like a loan from the government. So everyone didn't even know they were going to get themselves into debt. Nobody really knew. It was just a way to get out of the estate. So you ended up with like crazy working class fuckers. So, you had, you could get laid super easy. All these like girls, like who were away from home for the first time in their life, they didn't know who was the trustworthy man or whatever the fuck. And they just wanted to have some fun and party. You could get cheap booze. You could get your hands on drugs. It was great. But what wasn't great was having no fucking money. And literally no money, although I had no money before anyway, so I mean it was kind of a plateau for me. But there was plenty about being a student that sucked. Now, if I was good at something at that juncture, and the only thing I was really kind of good at was drinking and playing a bit of rugby, but not to a professional standard.
Professional drinking, yeah,
exactly. if that could have happened, that would have been cool. But basically, if someone had come along and said, "Hey, Rich, do you want to play some computer games for like a year and just fuck off that student pipe dream for a bit? Because you're probably going to fail your exams and have to resit, or you're going to have to change courses like I did, and you're going to spend years there, and it's going to suck." Or you can play computer games for a year and make 30, 40K a year before you even, really win anything. I'd have probably bit your hand off, as lame and as nerdy as that sounds. So I just don't think that, like, I don't know. No, you shouldn't shed tears for these guys.
No, I'm not.
They've had a good opportunity.
I'm not shedding tears. The thing is, for him, he's binded to a contract, probably still now. And I probably suspect that unless EG sees something in him, he would have been out the door a while ago. Or he's probably begging them, please let me stay a bit longer because I don't know what I'm going to do out of this. Like, for Idra, I don't actually know. Like, some people find it hard adjusting to normal life. It literally is one of those Stephen King stories where, everyone's so used to this constitutional, regime of life. And then when they leave the place, they just don't know how to live anymore. Like, if you want to compare to real athletes, it's the same thing. Like, who's the without trying to be racist, Usain Bolt. He's retiring now. Like, he said, right, next Olympics. After that, I'm gone. Like, he knows that he's reached his peak. He was in his prime, and
And now the fun for him begins.
Yeah.
The real money begins. Because he's going to get like, right, everyone is going to be like, hey, Usain, make a fucking pair of trainers for us. We'll call them the Bolt, bolts, whatever. Get me a pair of bolts and like a bolt from the blue, some crass marketing, piece of shit will be all over that. And everyone's going to be bidding for him. It was like when Jordan had his, Nike Airs out. Everyone was like, fuck, I want me a pair of them.
Never bought a single pair. They're just stupid. I find a lot of things stupid in life.
But Bolt's gonna make a fortune. He's gonna be okay. Again, it might suck that he doesn't have an extra few years. But he's doing the right thing. He's getting out at the right time, and he's gonna find ways to stay relevant and keep earning. And here's what people don't do in esports. And this is one of the bigger problems. They don't stay relevant. They don't know how to. They dry hump the fucking one game they play until there's fuck all left, and then they look around and they go, "Fuck, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? It's terrible. I'm gonna have to go back to real life. This terrifying thing." Like you had ample opportunities over the course of esports to get involved in another game, see the writing on the wall, maybe move outside your comfort zone, maybe try your hand at casting, maybe try your hand at writing, maybe try your hand at all these things that pay, and maybe you're going to fail, and maybe it's going to suck, and maybe you're going to make the wrong decision and switch games, and then the game you've left's had a resurgence. But the one thing you can't do in esports is sit on your hands and think that the one scene you're involved in is going to last forever. It's really not hard to actually be a careerist in esports, and think of prime examples. Guys like DJ Wheat, who right from the fucking get-go, from him being involved in esports, he's been involved in all sorts of games. This is a guy who, whenever, and I say this not in a bad way, but whenever there was an opportunity, he was there. He was booting the front door in, saying, how can I get involved? Which is why he did stuff like the fucking Hip Hop Gamer League, playing Xbox with Snoop Dogg, trying to make a TV show out of that. It's why he did shit like the CGS. It's why he was all of a sudden trying to be a StarCraft 2 caster, which for me was never going to work. This was a guy who knew which way the wind was blowing and moved accordingly, and he's done excellently out of esports, and all he's done is display intelligence, and have the boldness to move. All of these guys who are clinging on to past glories, fuck them. Fuck them. They deserve to go down with the Titanic.
No, of course. I for anyone that is listening, I've been told this repeatedly, and I absolutely stand by this, that esports is literally just get off your ass and do something if you want to do something in it. That is all you need to do. It's not that hard. It's hard once you start, but it's not that hard to actually just do something. And that's pretty much what you need to do. But on to brighter news, on a brighter note, on a different topic, I really like that picture of Travis, because I really like Travis. Oh my god!
It was pretty good, wasn't it?
Okay, fine. Fine. There's no awkward floating hand, but that smile. Oh, that smile is like.
In a way, I think the creepy. I think the creepy sex offender smile might, and of course, just for legal reasons, I'm sure he's not really a sex offender, honest. But the creepy sex offender smile, a smile akin to that a sex offender might have, again, just for legal reasons, is probably worse in a way than the hover hand. If he just hover-handed that bitch. Like, I just don't understand. I mean, like, he does this all the time. He puts tweets up about how he's like, the one when he was coming back from the plane, and he was like, I'm surrounded by all these beautiful married women. Like, honestly, check his Twitter feed. It is like, it's like I see it, and I always assume it's a parody account. Like,
just want to throw up every time.
Like drunk Scara or something. But no, it's Travis. It's the real Travis.
Speaking about Worlds, where are you going to be for Worlds? Are you going to be in LA, or are you going to be getting drunk?
I could have gone, but the end of the year is like, it fucking sucks for me because I've got loads going on. We got about the hilarity of the website, right? Like every day is just a deep joy trying to get this new website sorted.
Heaven Media, right?
Yeah, that's us, yes. And it's not really their fault. But yeah, we're working on a website. A new website is coming. We've been saying that for a while now. It's not really good enough that it isn't out already, and we're all aware of it. But I work on it daily. And I'd rather channel my energies into that than having like some fucking jolly up in Los Angeles when we all know I'm not going to get a fucking, I should
Picture
get
with a girl.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not, man. I imagine in the same way I'm on the EG blacklist. I think pretty soon I might be on the Riot blacklist, which is the kiss of death in esports. So I might have to retire. But
Oh no.
I know, and wouldn't that be tragic? But anyway, Tal, I feel like I browbeated you down a little bit and just started shouting at you, and your opinion's still valid.
No. I've been very tired, and I just thought it's my job to come on and just tell people that, when people do play this game professionally, or they play any game professionally, they give up a lot, and people just need to realize that as well, and just kind of lay them some slack, because sometimes they're stuck in one org because that is the only org that will still take them, because they're already locked in there. Like, if they leave, no other org will take them because, they're done. They're done. They might as well retire, but they don't want to. So, I like talking, so you can shut it.
Mate, it's always great to have you on the show, and I do agree with what you're saying. I just can't be sympathetic as a man who's had to claw tooth and nail to get a fucking bean out of esports and has been doing it for 10 years. I don't sympathise with players who, by comparison to the ride I've had, have had everything handed to them on a plate. But maybe that's just bitterness talking. But anyway, Tal, much love, small guy. No doubt I'll see you next week. And thanks a lot for calling in.
Bye-bye.
Peace. Right then, so we're trundling towards the end of the show. Fuck it, let's not have a break. Let's just keep going. See if my bladder can take it. So, Gareth, who have we got?
Well, I've decided to go for a bit of a change. We've been talking about LoL and StarCraft now for a while. So, his name's Gary, and he wants to talk about the future of FPS, more to do with Battlefield and its spec mode, and them sort of gearing it more towards esports. So.
Okay, then Gary. So we're talking about Battlefield. Fuck that's a first for the show. So where do you want to start? Do you want to start with Battlefield, or do you want to start with FPS in general?
We can go for FPS in general if you want.
Yeah, let's do that then. So FPS in general. It's no secret that the genre is on its fucking knees. It's really having a tough time. CSGO's kind of the one with the esports chops, but I don't think anyone's particularly happy with that game or the direction it's taken. Call of Duty is, again, I think it's descended into almost a parody of itself. Each game that comes out seems to be little more than a money spin. An
expansion pack of the last.
Yeah, exactly. Just a reskinned fucking, same old shit. I've kind of got high hopes for Battlefield 4 as a game, but I don't know if it'll be an esport. But again, we'll come to that in a second. So the FPS genre, what the fuck can be done to save it?
I don't know, because I can't really think of where it's gone wrong, because it seemed to, at one point, have the advantage. It's had a spectator mode before anything else in Counter-Strike. It's that's been in since like 1.6, and you'd think with the popularity of COD, it would be like an absolute booming scene. As much as I hate COD, but I thought with the massive popularity of the game, it would take off. But it just, like you say, it just seems to have gone backwards and backwards and backwards and backwards to the point now where if you can't do a 360 no-scope with a sniper rifle, nobody's really interested in what's actually going on.
Which is why I don't understand why consoles fly in the flag.
Yeah.
Because, look, it always annoys the console people whenever I talk about it. FPS is just not made for console. It's just not. It's not. I respect what they do, but I don't understand why people would flock to watch it flock to watch a PC FPS when there's so much more skill involved.
It's harder to present it from a console point of view. You've got all of the splitters you'd have to use to gather all the consoles together and everything. Because I used to play a lot of competitive Battlefield at whatever the highest level of competitivity you got. And with Battlefield 2, it was like it kind of died, and then you went through to Bad Company, and then that kind of died off because nobody could stream it because there was nothing to do, and you had to mess on clicking through the spectator mode to do it. And then the second Bad Company was the same, and it all kind of seemed to be revolving around the spectator mode. But then, like you say, it seems to lie in consoles, which is kind of the most anti-presentation and streaming friendly you can possibly get. So it's kind of really weird where it's actually gone to.
Yeah. Well, what about right? One of the things that majorly annoyed me, and I have a very good relationship with the Battlefield community manager at DICE. He always supports all my work. He doesn't need to. A lot of it has nothing to do with Battlefield, the vast majority. He always retweets it. He's a great dude. I'm really looking forward to maybe getting to work with him a bit more when Battlefield 4 comes out. But there was a lot of talk when Battlefield 3 came out about how it was going to be more esports orientated, and
then it kind of wasn't.
Yeah, and then they tried to listen to the community at the last minute and implemented some big patches, but by then the damage was done. I think these days your game has to have everything it needs to be an esport at the start.
Yeah, you just have to be able to turn it on and everyone just be able to do it.
And then it's fingers crossed. Will the community stick with it? Will tournament organizers pick it up? Will people invest money in it? Will gaming organizations pick up teams for it? And that's how it's just a suck it and see exercise. What do you think? Why is Battlefield 4 going to be different? Did you have any insight into that?
I just think with the popularity of Battlefield 3, it's kind of all of the other Battlefield games, like I think we're being like down in popularity, but everyone kind of like loved like Battlefield 3 is kind of like the game that survived COD. If you know what I mean. There's been loads of shooters out that have just come up and just COD's been like, just haven't even looked at it. But Battlefield 3 was the game that EA wanted to compete with COD, and it kind of did compete with COD. And I'm just hoping, like you say, I mean, fingers and toes crossed that some people will actually want to watch stuff like this, because it's such a beautiful game to watch to start off with. And some of the competitive aspects of it don't necessarily matter when it's producing such an entertaining thing to watch. I mean,
do you not think that there's some? I mean, I think one of the problems you've got is you've got esports purists, and I've seen it a lot of times in a lot of games. Esports purists get involved and they try and change things. And, in Battlefield, you have these kind of settings where it's like you can't use all the classes. You can only have so many of this.
Yep.
No vehicles.
Yeah,
things like this.
I can say amen to that from somebody who played Battlefield 2. For me, I actually think the community ended up killing what was left of competitive Battlefield 2, because for me, the whole fun of Battlefield is the whole tanks and things and the aeroplane. I don't see the point of it if they're not in, but the competitive side of the community whittled it down to it can only be 8 versus 8, and then it can only be 8 versus 8 infantry, and you ended up in the end 6 versus 6 Karkand only, flag by flag, when flag by flag didn't even exist in the time, medic only, and it's just like, I played it, but just like, it was boring as anything.
I mean, I had the same shit with Team Fortress 2. Not a lot of people know, but when TF2 first come out, I was a jaded Counter-Strike Source player, and like a lot of CSS players, because we never really liked our game from the start, I jumped across to Team Fortress 2 and had I was in one of the best teams in the UK. I mean, we were unbeaten online in the leagues and ladders that sprung up. A team called Excite UK. We finished third at I-32, or it might have been, which was the first Team Fortress 2 LAN with a cash prize. And I was one of the huge proponents of let's keep it 8v8. And again, esports purists were trying to move it towards 6v6 with class restrictions. And I was like, no, let's keep it 8v8 with no class restrictions. And then we're going to see innovative tactics, and there's going to be more variations. It's going to be a little bit different. Gaming organizations were saying, well, we can't support a team of 8 players. It's too many players.
That's what a lot of people said,
how could we possibly send them to an event? And what would have been an amazing online game, I think, and a very interesting, certainly a more interesting iteration of what Team Fortress 2 became, was basically denied because of, the esports purists and the financial aspects of it.
No, I can understand that, because when we were part of a team, we made a bit of an expansion. We did the whole, we want to become a multi-organizational thing, and we tried to get teams and that together, and we had a lot of success getting groups of teams together. We had a 2142 team, a Battlefield 2 team, a TF2 team. I know you're laughing at 2142.
I didn't know anyone played that actually. So.
Mate, we must have been one of the best of 2142 of all of the 5 teams that actually played it.
I was going to say 2142 was the number of people who bought the game, wasn't it? Like,
if you know the digits.
yeah.
But we had a group of people all together. We were all doing it. We're all kind of popular in the games that we played. But it's just like you say, you get down to it. Like, we've got 8 Battlefield players. We need to get to an I-Series. Some of them live in Scotland. Some of them live in France and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Are you going to pay for them to go over? Like, how much is it going to cost? And it's like £100 a pop. And like that was just the end of us. We were only a small thing. But if you can imagine it being a big international organisation for a big event, right? I need to cart 8 people across to America from Europe for a big thing. £1,000, £1,500 a head a ticket. I mean, what's the prize pool going to be like? It's going to be what, 10 grand if you're lucky.
Yeah, very lucky.
That's half of it paid in travel alone. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things that's going to keep it back. It would have to be an online scene, basically.
So how can Battlefield approach these problems? And you know, and I guess we need to look at, you know, DICE and EA, you know, and ask what they're going to do. But I mean, how can the community sort of approach it as well? Because isn't it going to be you know, the same problems happening all over again?
I think it would be, but I think it's something that could possibly survive in smaller, localized things. I mean, things like ESL has a lot of branching out organizations that go from ESL. There's a German group, there's a France group, there's a UK group, believe it or not, or however, it's not the most organized thing in the world from personal experience. And then in America, you've got things, you know, I suppose MLG and stuff like that. I mean, that's maybe a little bit high up for it. But it would be nice, like you say, if DICE could maybe support it. Because there was one thing when Battlefield 3 came out, there was supposed to be a big online Virgin competition that had a rather large prize pool for it, which got the community going for it.
I remember this. What a fucking load of trash that was.
A lot of us who bought the game on console just because we heard it was going to be console only 3 months down the friggin' line, leveling up all our friggin' characters and stuff like that to play on the console, and then just nothing happened. But it would be nice if DICE could fit in something big, even if it was just at launch. I mean, I'm not talking on the scale of prize money like the International or something like that, but if they could just hold a nice big event in the middle of, I don't know, like a Gamescom sort of thing, and just to get the competitive, you know, blood drumming. Look, this is what you can do, competitive guys. There's enough competitive FPS teams out there who could muster together some people to do, you know, a Battlefield team. I mean, TCM at the moment's probably got one of the most amazing Battlefield teams that exist. I mean, I know from personal experience, it'd wipe the floor with pretty much bloody anything you put on the table, and it would just be nice to have somebody to step up. And just
I think what you need for that is, I agree with you, and I think what you need for that is, it's like I say, it's about when the game launches. How easy is it going to be? Because, like, let's be honest, right? Nobody in esports got into esports because they wanted to get into esports. Everyone from a certain generation is, and I would argue perhaps all of us, like 99% of us, we're all here by accident. Like, I mean, you know, I'm here by accident. Like, I was writing an article to pitch to a gaming magazine, and it was about online gaming. Half-Life 2 had just come out, and they said, oh, Counter-Strike Source, this is like in 2004, 2005, Counter-Strike Source is going to be potentially the replacement for 1.6, which was, you know, the big mod at the time. So write an article about that for us. That can be your first one. And because of that, I realized, holy shit, like there's a thing happening like under the surface of gaming.
Yeah, once you peek behind the curtain into the back door, it's actually amazing what's going on.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if I would necessarily say amazing. It's interesting.
Well, yeah. Sometimes it can be amazingly amazing and amazingly depressing at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. now you're getting there. And and you know, everyone I hear about it's always got the same story. Like I met guys who were like, oh, I got injured playing rugby, broke my leg. And all I had to do was play games while I was online to channel my competitive energy, and then I never stopped. And then I became a fat loser, and I never played rugby again. Or, you know, everyone is here by accident.
Yeah, no, I've got my own story with myself and everything.
Well, go on. What's yours?
Oh well, I'm actually narcoleptic. I'm actually prone to falling asleep a lot. Now I biffed out of college and sixth form and everything. Not because I was thick as two bricks. It's just like, if you can't stay awake to read the frigging books, you can't stay awake to read the fucking books. You know what I mean?
It might hamper you somewhat, yeah.
And ended up, I mean, I've beat the I series and that a lot, and then just joined the team. Got thing. I was like, oh wait, and just do this on the side of working, and that's my reason. For some reason, I don't fall asleep when I'm playing games. Thank God.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, how the fuck does that work?
Yeah, no. For some reason, I don't fall asleep playing games. Give me a book, I'll be gone in 5 minutes. Football match, gone in about 10, 15 minutes. But when I'm playing games, stay awake for hours.
You probably should have said that at the start of the call as well.
Just to let you know, just if you hear a thump.
Yeah, exactly. That could have been fucking awkward. Well, no, I'm glad you're dealing with the condition of narcolepsy. I've known a narcoleptic. He only fell asleep when I was talking to him for some reason. I don't know what that was about. But yeah, so no, like it's how you say, everyone is here by accident. You know what Battlefield, what DICE, what EA need to do is they need to have it so I can pick up the game and I can play the campaign, and maybe that's all I ever do. But I can get into a league, I can get into a ladder, I can get into a team. I can read about the competitive scene. I can see what the rewards and the benefits for being involved actually are.
Yeah. It'd be nice if 3 months, 6 months down the line, they maybe had something organised to sort of aim for.
Yeah.
Either launch it with a bang or have something a little bit down the line. I think maybe 6 months is too long, but a couple of months down the line, this is going to be the big competitive thing. Get everyone practicing, get everyone making teams. ESL, if they organise some nice leagues, those teams will continue playing because they enjoy it, as long as the infrastructure's there.
All right, well, Gary, I'll ask you final thoughts about this.
Yeah, go on.
Can Battlefield 4 be the shot in the arm for FPS within the esports space, or do we have to accept that MOBA and RTS are going to rule the roost for a lot longer?
I think MOBA and RTS is going to continually rule the roost because, like I was saying before, just a simple matter of prize pool and the ability to only transform one team over. And the thing with MOBA is it's that popular, the prize pool is worth shipping 5 people across 4.
Yeah.
But I think potentially it could be certainly the kick up the arse to get it going because, like I say, it's a visually appealing game. The spectator mode's in there now. It's got, wealth of stats for everyone to drool over and everything like that. As everyone likes a little bit of stat nerds every now and then. Yeah, streaming's easier than ever. I don't see what would hold it back from becoming, a lower tier esports game, and then potentially where do we go from there? Battlefield 5. Maybe.
Well, we'll see, and I hope you're awake to see it, Gary. When
mate, I'm not that bad. I'm not that bad, but
I'm just kidding.
You tried doing physics and reading a book while being narcoleptic. It was GG.
Mate, I can imagine. I'll tell you what, Gary, you're a top lad. I hope you call back. It's been a great call.
Well, your I series loads have probably been about 10 foot away from each other on multiple occasions without even knowing.
Probably 10 foot. I'm the guy getting thrown out by security a lot of the time, right?
I'm the one getting poked constantly, being told to wake up.
Well. Next time I see someone asleep at the desk, Gary, I'll come over and say hello.
Your name, Gary?
Yeah, I will do, mate. Thanks a lot for calling in. Have a great evening.
Have a good night, pal.
All the best, brother. So, what a lovely lad. What a lovely caller. Let's hear it for narcolepsy. I might do a pledge drive for that at the end of the show. It's a terrible affliction, but Gary's a great guy. So hats off to him. And that was his views about Battlefield. Maybe you think the new Battlefield game is going to, give FPS the shot on the arm. Because God knows FPS needs a shot. But certainly CSGO's doing its part at the moment. It's got money. It's got, the biggest platform at events like DreamHack. So I think we've got time for one more call before we call this a night. Gareth, who have we got? Have we got a choice?
There's 3 choices. If you want, if you want to hear the choices.
Do it? Also, I'm gonna type something to you, sneaky.
We can let people in the chat decide who they want to see.
But also maybe. Check this chat. Right, find. Right, I'm just not gonna talk, guys. Let Gareth read out what the callers are. I'm typing. Okay, you go nuts, Gareth.
All right then. Okay, so we've got Jack. He's been in the chat quite a lot. He's called on multiple occasions before, and he wanted to talk about StarCraft 2 finals at DreamHack. There's Ben, who wants to talk about esports figures not going through with promises and whatnot. And then we've got Kurt, who wanted to expand on that FPS topic that's just been talked about. So those are the choices. So Jack on StarCraft 2, Ben on esports figures not going through with promises, and then Kurt expanding on the FPS.
I'm just going to put this out there, chat people. The idea of broken promises in esports, whoa, it tickles me. It tickles me in all the right places. So hopefully you're going to select that one. Let's see. Ben.
The majority is Ben at the moment.
We do like Kurt esports promises. Someone's just put the number 3. Oh, as in, right, okay. Yeah, I see.
The third caller.
I thought it was just like 3. Yeah, all right, cool. But no, he's not retarded. Yeah, I see what he's done there. I'm retarded. So, well, fuck it. Yeah, we'll go with Ben. Maybe I'll extend it a little bit because Kurt's always good value, and I do like regular callers to come through and get their opinion in. So we'll see how we're doing. But Ben's the guy, so let's do it. So we'll bring him on, and as soon as he's here, we'll be talking about esports promises. So, Ben, what's on your mind? I mean, let's start at the beginning, right? So let's talk about these esports promises. Oh, shit, it's you! I should have known. It's Ben. This guy's awesome. He should be the host. Ben.
Really?
Hello. Yeah, I fucking can, man.
How you going, man? Oh, everyone in the chat who said me, you've made probably the worst decision of your life.
You did a great call last week, brother. You did a great call. So, broken promises. Right, let's fucking do this.
Well, I think I've warmed up a bit. This is my second call in to a chat show of the day. I was on a show called Rash Talk earlier, and they helped me out with some cream and stuff, so that's all sorted out now. But Trash Talk now, so I've got to bring out the right point, not the itchy.
Yeah.
Problem. So a lot of people in the chat are saying sort of no StarCraft, and I'm a bit lazy and I only really follow StarCraft. So my points are StarCraft related. So sorry. But anyway, I want to talk about sort of esports figures like using the community's passion and sort of drive to support the whole ordeal. Ordeal? Esports is an ordeal. Yeah, let's leave it at that.
Let's call it an ordeal.
And and like how this like affects the whole idea of professionalism within the whole thing. So my StarCraft examples would be this fucking Pizza GG thing that the 3 teams set up, and it kind of had like that really, it was Papa John's joined in and everyone sort of actually fucking threw loads of money in. I mean, I thought it was cool, but I was like, I mean, have you seen an esports crowd pizza? Really, it's like you're gonna kill off half the fan base here with 50% off. But they went out with it anyway. And it was a really big success, and they didn't actually follow through with all the tiers, and
they certainly didn't.
My problem with it is that I don't mind everyone being busy, and you've got tournaments and all this sort of stuff to go, and you've got players to train up and win stuff. But it's like, and I can understand the whole thing of like, at the time the promise sound good and we reckon we can fill that up. But it's the kind of fact that everyone shies away from it and no one talks about it, and then the responses are, "Oh, we're busy," and that annoys me. And I've got another one to bring up, but Pizza GG, that was the first thing of.
Well, let's start with Pizza GG.
Promises thing I felt.
Let's start with Pizza GG, right, Ben? I'm glad you fucking brought this up because I got a lot of fucking stick. I mean, what else is new, right? I got a lot of stick for pointing out at the time that, first of all, Papa John's is an appalling company, and not the kind of company I particularly want working in esports. Any company that's going to try and bully its staff into voting Republican because it doesn't want to have to pay extra taxes, and does that by threatening to increase their hours, threatening to make them redundant. That is a piece of shit company, and not the kind of company I want benefiting from anything we do here in this very small niche concern in esports. The goal for a company that was one of the most profitable in America last year to even take that stance and basically try and dodge its responsibility of looking after its employees is fucking vile. So what a perfect fit it was that it fell into bed with the likes of EG and Rue. I mean, what a marriage made in heaven that was.
Well, in controlling pizza for starters. And
I'm not going to do that because Jeff's a great guy. I actually like Jeff, and and who the fuck am I have jives at anyone's weight anyway? Right? Okay. I mean, like, there's a reason this show doesn't show anything from the moves down. Right? Okay. So anyway, right, there's that. But what I also said was, I guarantee you, and I fucking guarantee you, that after all the spiel from these people, which is, this is a great thing for esports, man. Big companies getting involved in esports. We'll do something again. I said two things. I said, one, we'll never see Papa John's involved in esports again. Or if we do, it might be once a year to do the same promotion. And B, the organizations that have benefited from this, the majority of which is EG, and they've kind of shared the wealth a little bit for reasons I don't quite understand with the other organizations. But it's EG who certainly landed this big fish. They're the people who benefit. Esports as a whole doesn't benefit. I don't benefit. You don't benefit. The fans of the organizations don't benefit. The motherfuckers who bought pizza, they benefited because they got 50% off. But the long-term fucking health problems, as you rightly point out, of troughing pizza all the time, fuck knows. I mean, I wouldn't exactly call it a benefit. So let's be honest. Like, we should have seen this coming. Now, I have got this on the screen because I'm writing an article about it. I'm just waiting for the right. Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm a sneaky one, aren't I? So, but right, Alex. This is Alex Garfield, and this is over a month ago on Reddit. And again, sorry, I'm not quite centered because I have to lean in because my eyes don't work. And he said, "Hey guys, Alex from Evil Geniuses here. Thought I'd respond to this directly while Paolo and Jeff are the captains and faces of the organizations, and they've done a great job answering individual questions about Papa John's over the past few months. I'm the one working on the deal behind the scenes. The community's definitely overdue for an update, and I'm sorry it wasn't provided sooner. As some in this thread have pointed out, the delay in the fulfillment of tiers 6 and 8, the show matches being referenced by the original poster, has a lot to do with the summer tournament schedule picking up and player schedules being difficult to coordinate. Now, before I even read the rest of it, what the fuck? Really? You're too busy to play a meaningless show match? Really? StarCraft 2 has got that much going on, has it? That's funny, because every time I look on Reddit, every motherfucker's saying it's dead. Go figure. Right. So anyway, this can be challenging, especially when you're talking about multiple teams within multiple organizations. Yeah, the same teams and the same organizations that could talk to make a bit of money out of you guys, right? But yeah, we're too busy to organize a show match. And when we want to give you guys a good lineup of our best players, with all of that being said, those reasons are in and of themselves not a sufficient explanation for this delay. There were definitely a few windows we could have hit in the past month to do the show matches. Really? So why did we wait? The answer is actually some very good news that we hope you guys will be happy to hear. To get to the point, the Papa John's people were very, very impressed with the promotion and all of the interest and enthusiasm this community showed them. Since the promotion, we've been working on a longer-term deal with Papa John's, and we were hoping to be able to, if we could sign the deal quickly enough, announce further esports involvement from Papa John's at the same time as the show matches. We think it's really important you guys get to see the results of all of your help with Pizza GG, and so we were hoping to come back with some big news. That's a month ago. That's over a month ago. Where the fuck is this big news, Ben? I'm asking you.
Me personally.
You personally.
Where is it? Shoved up his fucking arse, I imagine. What annoys me is that passion fuels esports, right? And people have gone out there like, I don't usually buy Papa John's pizza. I'm more of a Domino's guy or whatever. But I'm going to spend some of my hard-earned money or whatever to try and support it. And regardless of all the issues and the stupid fucking announcements, it hurts me that somebody works some shitty job of actually, I know they get something back from it, it's like they get pizza and a deal and whatever, but to get like these half-arsed excuses, it's just, it's fucking bullshit, really. And it annoys me.
And here's the thing, to me, it wouldn't even necessarily bother me. I don't really give a fuck if the show matches go ahead. But you can argue the people who paid the money did. And you can maybe argue that maybe they didn't give a toss, but what they wanted was just to contribute to something to esports. So it's not even about not doing the show matches, although that is a broken promise. I would argue it's a very minor one. It's not really that important in the grand scheme of things. But the almost kind of tacit understanding of giving money to Papa John's was that we would get something back collectively within esports. And that hasn't happened, and it doesn't look like happening. And I see people on Reddit all the time making these excuses. And in a way, I'm kind of think maybe they want to talk about the show matches more because that's fixable. Like if they play the show matches, like, oh, everything's better now. But Alex Garfield, on the record there, in public, has said there's going to be a bigger deal coming from Papa John's. Well, A, I'm skeptical about it. And B, how do we not know that the second time around, it's going to be bigger promises for bigger, for bigger profits, but ultimately nothing's going to happen again.
I mean, to take away the tiers, this is the question. If you took away the show matches and whatnot, would the amount of money that got put into it by the fans would have been put in, And if they do another one of these bigger events, and the tiers are up there, probably bigger promises, like they're saying, a bigger deal. To put that tier 10 event in, well, somebody's, that makes a difference. And if they can't even do it the smaller deal and the easy thing, like you're saying, a show match, like really, 2 hours of your time to set a couple of games up or whatnot.
Yeah.
They expect the same return, obviously, and Papa John's is sat there expecting the same return. EG's expecting the same return. But are they prepared to give back what they fucking put in the first place? Like, which wasn't enough, even for the smaller thing. So, and
your other broken promise. Let's do it. It's like the Make-A-Wish Foundation. This is.
It is.
We'll make it happen, Ben. We'll make it happen for you. We'll shame them into it.
Holding hands, walking into the horizon.
I might not hold your hand after that rash thing. That was a bad way to open the call. If you want physical body contact, we're going to have to wait until the cream kicks in.
Don't worry, the cream's in the post. It'll be gone in a few weeks, hopefully.
Good. Next week, then.
Next week. So I nicked this straight off of Reddit before anyone says anything else. But this thing Artosis, StarCraft caster, did a few months back. And he's known for breaking promises, and it was this thing called Esports U. Now, he launched a site basically to coach people of all skill levels in StarCraft with a sub fee. And it launched. I mean, if you guys don't know what this is, go to a website, Esports U, and you can see what it is. But one of the benefits of going there is you can actually view the most annoying image of somebody's face of all time. Right-hand image on the main website. It dries, but I can't even look at it. It's infuriating.
I'm not looking at it, so I'm going to do it.
So smug.
What's the website? Give me the URL.
Esports U, as in just a single U.
And then is it a .com?
Yeah, .com.
Must be. Right. Okay, I'm bringing that up. So anyway, do continue while I bring up this annoying face.
Just bring up Artosis' face, everyone, and then we'll continue to talk about this. So he launched this website.
But I like Dan. Don't do this to me. I like Dan.
Oh, I like him as well, but this annoyed me. So he launches this website. It's got a subscription fee. It's only $5 or whatever, and it launches, and not much happens. And then a couple of months go by, and according to people who've actually subbed to it, I didn't. I'm amazing at the game and don't need anyone's help. Obviously. But people who said it was a little bit active. There's a little bit uploaded, but nowhere near what the promise was. And then, nothing's happened. Apparently, it's all died out. There's not much going on, and people are trying to get their money back and whatever. Now, yet again, Dan, busy man, rapper, and he has all this stuff going on. He flies around everywhere, and he does his GSL and he does his shows and whatnot. What annoys me is that people are paying for this. They're expecting content. And rather than come out, stick his hands up and say, look, I had this idea. We kind of worked out that it wasn't working. Not as many people were subscribing as we thought, and it wasn't as profitable as we thought. When I put his hand up and say, look, everyone's going to get their money back. We're going to cut it here. We're sorry, it didn't work out. They've just kind of, we'll just slowly tuck it to the back. Nobody will talk about it, and no one will really question what went wrong there. And that annoys me. I don't know if he wants to damage his sort of branding or it's his ego, because he often says it's not my fault that this thing didn't go through or whatever. Just put your hands up and say, I'm sorry, it didn't work out this time. Yeah. And that this is another one of these things that's like a professional offered a service and then never went through with it. And it's like, how am I supposed to take you seriously when you're doing this? So I mean, the idea was really weird because he was making you pay, or not making you, obviously it was your choice to pay, but for content that other people in StarCraft do for free. was basically like build orders and lessons and like send your own replays in to get them analyzed and stuff. And that was already free, and people have been doing that since the game was released. So to release that when the game's declining a little bit and there's not as many new players flooding in, because it was only like 3 or so months ago this went out. It was a strange thing, and I think, rather than say I made a mistake, I guessed wrong, I thought this was going to be really popular, they just didn't say sorry. And I just wanted to see somebody like the same thing with the Pizza GG thing, is to properly turn around and say, look, we fucked up. It wasn't because the tournament schedule got busy or whatever. We just didn't plan it well enough, and we're sorry. And it's your guys' money you're putting into it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think an apology is the bare fucking minimum. And like I said, I do like Dan, and he from my experience, he's a great guy. But this is unacceptable, isn't it? I mean, let's be fucking honest. Let's call it what it is. When anyone does that, if you expect something, and especially if you're paying for it, holy fucking shit. You deserve it. I mean, like, you deserve at least an explanation for why it hasn't manifested. So, here's what I would say. In the StarCraft 2 community, right, and I love the StarCraft 2 community. I think I'm despised in Counter-Strike. I'm considered an irrelevant drunk in COD. But they like me anyway. I'm like Grandad, you sit him in the corner and he tells stories, and that's cool. And in League of Legends, I'm just despised because apparently I hate TSM, even though they're my favorite team, just because I said Chaos was, an idiot for trying to make out he was the best player of all time when he retired. So there's only one scene that's ever really embraced me belatedly, and that was StarCraft. I mean, they were like, we really like this guy's stuff. We love his interviews. He's a cool dude. He's intelligent. He's articulate.
You're from the UK. That always helps.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. The old boys network kicks in. So I love the StarCraft 2 community, but they do fucking have these sacred cows, man, that cannot be fucking touched, and they've got plenty of them. It can be your Day 9, who is as fake as a fucking $3 bill. It can be, I mean, come on, that isn't news to anybody, I hope, anyway. But you've got you've got players, you've got organizations, and you've got personalities who they make the excuses for them. They allow them to do this. They enable them to do it because they always say, oh, well, I'm sure they've got good reasons. Or I wouldn't want to confront him about it because what if he pulled out from the scene altogether? Then the scene would be worse off. So we will tolerate any nonsense. And that's the bullshit. That's the bind that they're in. And especially right now with all this panic around StarCraft. Like, is it going to die? And I don't think anyone wants to beat the fucking drum and be that guy who says, look, it doesn't matter how much good work you do on this side. That doesn't give you carte blanche to be a fucking lying douchebag on this side.
Definitely, 100%.
So who's going to be that guy? I mean, like, it can't be me. I don't have a big enough reach. Well, isn't it interesting how, I know, there's plenty of people that could be empowered to do this. There's certainly better options than me, yet no one seems to be interested.
I think it goes under the flag of, like, oh, well, these are the people in esports and we have to respect them because they're working hard, and, we can't take away because they're working so hard. We can't criticize them. So they're doing so much of the scene already. To say they've done something bad or slightly off is like, taking them away. And it's like, goes back to just anything. It's like anyone in any fucking job, esports or not, there's always somebody who works their ass off, right? But if I fuck up at my job, my boss isn't going to say, well done, you did this really well earlier, I'm going to let you off from fucking this bit up. No, and especially when it involves other people and your fans, and half the reason some of the people only do it is because it's got their name attached to it. So if you're going to stick up and follow with anything, at least respect the people who have put money, time, and effort into building your own career.
Yeah, I used to work in sales. Way back, and when I used to make a promise and didn't keep it, that used to get my commission took off me, and the company I was selling shit for potentially fined. I mean, it wasn't a joke.
Yeah.
If you don't deliver on the deliverables, you get fucked in the ass. I mean, there's no two ways about it. You cannot break promises. You can't take someone's money with one hand and then promise them something with the other and not deliver it. So yeah, I'm totally with you, and I think it's interesting, isn't it? how when someone comes out and says, "Oh, the esports community are all little whiny bitches," which is true. They get fucking driven out of it almost. You know, they have like this horde of people like writing to their organization, fire him, fire him. Idris said we're all idiots and he can treat us bad. Let us get rid of him. Let us fire him because we have that power. Yeah, exactly. We will show him. We will show him. And it's like, look, guys, right? Like, if you're gonna get fucking mobile and motivated, and you're gonna fucking, you know, channel your energy into that. Channel your energy into actually fucking holding the people accountable who broke promises to you, directly to you. Don't do it because some guy's got an opinion that makes you fucking cry yourself to sleep because you're so fucking tame and timid and pathetic, while at the same time demanding the rights to anonymity behind your little Reddit account with a super cool name like Nazi Meth Slave or whatever. You know, like... Come the fuck on. You can't have your cake and eat it. And it sickens me. We go after all... I've said this for 10 years. We go after all the wrong people in esports. When Angel Munoz was around in CPL, people couldn't drop to their knees fast enough to suck his dick. And look where we are now. Robbed a bunch of people, didn't pay a bunch of people, and he still comes back every 3 years into esports to make out look at all the great work I did. You know, it's sickening. It really is sickening. So I'm 100% with you, Ben. I just don't know what the recourse is. Like, what can we do? What can we do? I'm asking you, Ben.
Give me a sec. Night, Thomas. My little brother's just come in.
Oh, right. I hope you didn't hear anything I said, because that would have been... If you caught the words, yeah, good. No, because if you caught some of the words...
Just talking to Richard, he'll give you that 150 later in the week, yeah? All right, mate. Night. He's only like 10.
That's how I like him, apparently. So yeah, I'm not. That's a joke. I'm not paying for that. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah. What can we do, Ben? What
course of action? I think it starts further back down the line. Is that a figure? You know, they get their balls out and they start out as a normal pair of balls, and then all the fanboys come in with their little cloths and they shine them until they're golden, and they make this guy's pair of balls the shiniest balls in the world. I think that's the problem right there, is because whoever it is gets shot straight up so high at that point, and then they retain that level, that the criticism, even when they get it, it doesn't knock them further enough down for the majority of the people to turn around and go, well, you said you were going to do that, and I kind of supported you in that, and you never did it, and you said you were going to do it a bit along the line, and you didn't do it again. You know, what's going on? And it'll never damage their reputation because, you know, there's still 100 kids with cloth shining the balls going. And that's the problem. Fanboys, basically. Yeah. And,
but I mean, but fanboys to the degree where they are going to let them fuck them over. I don't like anyone enough for that. You know, I've got friends that if you take a fucking liberty, it's going to be an issue. You know, like I buy all the drinks on a night out because it's 4 days before your payday. Well, when it's payday, I'm coming round to your house, and there better be beers in the fucking fridge. You know, like we're not going to forget about this. And that's a friend. That's someone I love dearly. It's just how it is. You know, you got to give action to get action, and when you do give the action, you want to get it back. And it's tragic that in esports there's people who would make excuses. So in a way, we create a generation of lame liars. Like, really, like, they don't even need to lie because they know the community will lie on their behalf.
Yeah.
Really sad.
It is sad. And I think something that always feeds it is there's a lot of people, you know, they shovel this shit out of, you know, come on, guys, support esports with your money. Buy into our sponsor, this sponsor, this sponsor. And they constantly push out these things like, come on, support, we need you, come on. So when people do support, they really do think like, oh, well, they need this. I'm not going to fault them for not following through with this, and that helps. That doesn't help because esports always needs support. You know, it's a growing thing, and as long as people think that, you know, as long as people they're expecting, right, doing this retard thing again. as long as people, my brain cells are just sort of, I can feel I'm getting a nosebleed right now.
Mate, it's all right.
It's this rash.
It's been a complex. Yeah, I was going to say it might be syphilis. Don't worry.
But yeah, I think as long as people are still under the guise of like, oh well, I'm still supporting it, and like, you know, he's a busy guy and he's building esports as well, and I get reminded of this every time I tune into their stream, every time I watch a competition, every time I load a website up. You know, we're still so far away from anybody getting criticism to the point that it has to make them go, okay, today I'm sorting this thing out. I'm going to put my hands up, say sorry. I'm going to, you know, get the show match on the way, whatever it is. So please, esports figures, follow through with your little promises and whatnot, and treat the fanboys right. Treat them right. I'm not going to pay a penny towards any of your shit because I've got food to buy for my own fat stomach. So.
Ben, I'll tell you what, right? It's a fitting call to end the show on, and again, brilliantly succinct, and an actual serious point as well. One that I hope people pay attention to. Maybe someone, and perhaps you're in the Twitch TV chat now, and you're the kind of nerd that has the requisite skills to do this, because God knows I don't. You can maybe just cut that little bit with the Ben thing, and maybe even just put this up as a separate video, because I would like to see people held accountable. But Ben, I've got a list of favourite callers, and Kurt, who I'm not even letting on tonight. Sorry, Kurt, love you, brother. You've leapfrogged him. He's going to have to work hard to get ahead of you. So much so, I was pitching a show called Esports Nightmares. Right? No shit, serious. I was pitching a show called Esports Nightmares. This is absolutely true. Just to someone the other day, where it was going to be like a combination of like Watchdog, and for those that aren't from the UK, it's basically a consumer show where you go out and you hold people accountable for not keeping promises, much like what Ben's been talking about. The Cook Report, which is a little bit older, only old guys like me remember it, but there was a guy called Roger Cook, and he would just turn up on your doorstep if you'd done anything wrong, like if you were a cowboy builder with a microphone, and he would just be like, so why haven't you paid Mrs. Goggins the money back for her patio? And he would just follow you around with a camera, like, and you'd just be like, fuck my life, this is terrible. I wish I'd given that woman a patio. And then it was also going to be a combination of Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, with me as the Gordon Ramsay figure, where every time I turned up to a LAN and it was shit, I'd be going, where's your fucking pride? Yes, you know, and giving it the Ramsay.
Like
so
stuff.
Yeah.
Great.
Exactly. Now, what I think is I've found a spiritual co-host for that. I'm being serious. I think this is your calling, Ben. I think this is what you were meant to do.
And I think, as well, some of my my good points is that I'm ugly enough and been bullied all my life. It doesn't matter what abuse I get from anybody. It doesn't hurt me. You know, you throw it at me and I'll take it. So if you want to, give me some addresses. I'll turn up at people's doorsteps. I've got some other restraining orders I need to sort out first before I, go ahead with that. But I reckon
this is the start of a beautiful relationship, Ben.
I think that is the best show idea I've ever heard of, ever. And I'm being 100% serious.
Like, someone needs to do it in esports. Like, I just hope Too Good isn't watching this and he snipes me and goes out and does it with all of his riches. But someone should do it. Either way, it'd be awesome. But I'd love to get you involved, Ben. I'm not even joking. You're the guy for the job. I think. I think you've passed the audition. So I think we'll end it there, Ben. I will let you go and read Thomas a bedtime story or whatever it is you do, and slip him some money for waiting for the money I obviously owe him. But a fucking great call. Seriously, the king of callers right now.
Hey man, I'm good with the generic material I steal from Reddit. So.
Mate, that's all you need to do is sound intelligent on this show. So brilliant. Honestly, thanks a lot, Ben. Have a great evening, and hopefully I'll speak to you.
Hey, thanks for hosting the show again. It was awesome.
Anytime.
Really good.
Take care, brother. All the best. So there you go. That is Ben. I'm sure we're going to hear more of Ben. I'm going to make it my job to bring you more Ben. I feel like this is it now. Like, I don't know if you remember that interview with Thorin that I did, where I talked about when was I going to retire and how I had a couple of good years left, but only maybe 2. I think I found my spiritual successor. I think I have. I think I've connected with him, and I think he's going to take over my empire when I die. It's Ben Hedworth. Remember the name. Anyway, if my producer checked the Skype chat, we've got a very special outro for you. We've had some serious stuff at the start of the show, and I would urge you to remember that, and in the frivolity not forget that there is somebody sat mortally wounded in a hospital bed that would really benefit from your well-wishing and your money. Even just a little bit. So please do follow that up. But just to end on a light-hearted note, because I understand we do this, over the course of our show. I'm going to leave you with a little picture and some music. Please tell me you set it up, Gareth. Did you? Uh-oh. The silence is killing me. Right, yeah, the Travis picture. Yeah, but I wanted to, did you not get the message? Oh my god, this is so bad. I did, I sent you. Right, look at this. We'll edit this out. But let's end on some special music. I know, I thought you'd just have some. What kind of producer are you? I want to play some porn music over the top of this. No, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. This outro has kind of failed a little bit. I was going to try and get some slap bass. I was going to play some fucking slap bass over the top of this. Like, wah, 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 wah. But anyway, you'll just have to imagine it. Anyway, it's been a great show, another great show. I want to thank all the callers for calling in. I want to apologise to the callers that didn't get through. Keep Travis on the screen while I'm saying this, please, Mr. Producer. Yeah, you are fired. And I want to thank all the listeners and all the people who tuned in. I know we're starting to get a few celebrity listeners. I saw Jimmy Weisenhunt in the chat. I know Cruiser the Bruiser, the LOL player, is a big fan. And I want you guys to just spread the word because you're doing God's work. Believe me. I think we can make this show something vital and different within the esports scene. I ain't just saying that because I'm involved, because as you know, Ben's going to take over my job very fucking soon. So thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks to everyone but Gareth. We'll see you again Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Tune in for Trash Talk. Thanks a lot.